What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Elude Stalwart playing Retro WoW. Today, we're going to go over what we've done so far. So far, we've rolled Elude Stalwart. He's our level 60 rogue, and we've kind of tested out combat with daggers more specifically. And we kind of saw a little bit of what the rogue had to offer in groups as far as like utility, picking locks, and his ability to stealth and sap. I haven't really got a chance to actually use because everyone's on this server. They're so geared. So like a lot of the mobs that we encounter are very easily dealt with by our Fury Warriors. Almost every group that you run in on this Retro WoW server has a Fury Warrior in it, either providing the service as a tank in Fury spec or arm spec more specifically, or just Fury DPS, and they really benefit from having a shaman in the party. Now, as far as I could tell, the only viable spec for PvE is Resto, and shaman really have to throw out their Wind Fury totem and just like toss mana efficient heals, and that's about all their job is, as far as I can tell, in the Retro WoW version here. And I'm doing all these to give myself an idea of what I can expect once I get to level 60, and also to provide information on anybody else that might be curious about what class they might want to run, and kind of give you an idea of like what my take has been so far with the progression in all the pre-raid best in slot. That's what these guys are wearing. Nothing too fancy, like I haven't gone through the tiers of rating or anything like that, but I imagine most players will get at least to pre-raid best in slot before they either A, roll another class, or B, just begin farming for mats and materials to sell in the auction house to kind of try to make a living in the classic WoWs. I've also rolled a priest, heal stalwart. As far as I can tell, the priests are only really useful for healing. And while there are shadow priests, and this is all PvE, mind you, this has nothing to do with PvP so far. I haven't checked that out. But more to the point is my focus will most likely be PvE in vanilla, and that's really what I'm trying to figure out. I was like, what kind of classes do I want to stream and play for you guys whenever Classic does come out. Blue Strider says, what about Frost Shot? Yeah, Elemental Shaman can throw Frost Shot, and Elemental does have PvE viability, but I believe they're more effective in PvP. So if you're planning on PvP, then Elemental's the way to go. You could still be okay in a group as Elemental as a DPS, but you're almost exclusively using your Frost Shock if you're wanting to throw your shocks out. I'm not sure if that actually is a part of Elemental's rotation. I know that the Enhancement Shaman buffing their Wind Fury totem and pretty much just melee attacking, like their rotation really just consists of totems and shocks, and aside from that, maybe Storm Strike, but I don't think it's mana efficient to use. So like, I don't know, vanilla shaman, that good luck getting a group if you're not Resto is pretty much what I've found out with this guy. As far as like pre-raid best in slots concerned, maybe at like tier 5 or tier 4 or whatever, like getting up to the AQ level, like maybe then you can find a group. But starting out with the shaman, you're not going to find a group very easily. Next we have the paladin. I've done Ret. I kind of enjoy Ret. It's very nostalgic for me to see Ret in the state that it's in the level 60, because I remember somewhat starting out that way in the early BC when I actually rolled a paladin. But really, if you're looking for groups, Holy Pally is probably the way to go. And I have yet to see what tanking is like, because tanking on the Fury Warrior or Fury Stalwart here has been so fun. I'd rather be prot in as a warrior if I am tanking, because they just have so many different answers for everything you could possibly encounter in combat. So Ret Paladin, okay. I mean, you're pretty much just like the shaman. You're just there for your buffs, really, and the group utility that you provide. Not really there for like, filling a role completely. Like tanking, you're usually an off tank, so you're not like completely a tank, and you're usually just a buff DPS, not really a damage dealer. what I have found is Elude Hunt. This hunter that I've rolled has actually snuck under the radar for me because I did not play hunters past level 20 in vanilla. So I really didn't know what to expect whenever I rolled this guy, but I find myself more and more each day spending more time on the hunter. And it's mainly because of the time it takes to get your pet in order and sorted. And it's partially due to my own, error in thinking that whenever I rolled a hunter on this server, I had to go back and do everything the hard way, unlike Petopia. And I thought I would have to go into Blackrock Spire and tame this Blood Axe Warg, and that was probably like a 2-hour process to get to that thing, and fighting all the mobs to get to them, and feign deathing and shadow melding the whole way. It was quite rough, just pun intended with the wolf rough. Well, I went back and into the pet zone to go get food actually to feed the thing because it needed meat, and I saw Blood Axe Warg sitting right there, and I did my beast lore and all the abilities, which was the reason why I went out of my way to get him for bite rank A or rank 8 and Furious Howl rank 2 and dash. Like the reason why you would tame a Blood Axe Warg for those abilities so you can train them to your other pets. They all had them right there in the pet zone. So I was a little demoralized after I found out I wasted that much time to do that, but that's the life of the hunter in my experience since I played him in Wrath of the Lich King and on. It's very much finding those specific pets that will give you the abilities that you really enjoy, having your pet have. And then grinding for training points. Another thing the pets usually end up coming along with is training points as you fight with them. So the more you fight with your pet, the more training points you get. I'm saving up right now. I want to get the Greater Stamina rank 10, and it costs 185 training points. I have 125, so I've been pulling him for a while, and this will allow him to have 40% or 40 increased stamina. So that's another 400 hit points on top of his 300 or 3,590. And then after that, I'm saving up for the armor increase. That's 1,000 armor. I'm not sure how much armor he has right now, but the main reason why I'm on this guy is I'm trying to farm gold, and the hunter has been the most effective gold farmer. And the way I was thinking was if I can get a hunter up and begin farming gold, that just helps every alt after that if I decide to make a different character. And that's actually the reason why I rolled a hunter on this server, was because I wanted to find a class that I could play comfortably and efficiently farm these mobs for the quests in order to get gold for my other characters. But the more gold I get, the more I'm thinking maybe I should just go for his Molten Core best in slot weapon here and just make him that much better of a gold farmer. And so far, like if I were to kind of recap the past few days, I've pretty much learned, as far as group utility is concerned. If you're planning on grouping up a lot, then you want either some sort of a healer, whether it be a priest or a resto shaman, and if you roll those, you're almost guaranteed to get into groups as long as you kind of know what you're doing. And if you want to just get into groups with a tank or a damage dealer, I would recommend Fury Warrior or Protection Shaman. I mean Protection Warrior rather. And another thing is Warrior can switch over to arms and also go PvP as well. So the Warrior is very versatile in a sense that like most content will open itself up to you in the group aspect. Whereas for solo, the Rogue, I would pick the Rogue if you're more of a solo player, and the Hunter. I haven't checked the Warlock out yet, but I want to see what the Warlock looks like. And another damage dealer for the groups that you almost always see getting invites. Well, actually, I don't know if mages get a lot of invites. I have seen mages being spammed for once or twice for like Onyxia for the AoE that they can push. And mages are also good for creating food and teleporting and warping around, which is going to be more valuable whenever vanilla comes out. And it's not as valuable here on this Retro WoW server because people can just use their hearth like constantly with no cooldown. And they can also use these quest porters. And they can buy food from these vendors. So if you want to make friends, I would say make a mage, because a mage makes friends. And yeah, mage, warrior, priest, resto shaman. Those are the classes and rate and specs that you should roll. I think if you're grouping or if you want to be useful to your guild. Other than that, like get a guild, get a good guild if you're playing any other class, so you can still have some sort of a connection to making groups happen. Because you could sit here and spam in world and general chat all day and not get a group as a rogue and not ever get a group as a hunter, because nobody benefits from running with those guys. Now, one thing that you could do if you want to group up and stuff like Elude hunt here, what I do is I run out to one of these quest zones and then I just start farming. I start killing stuff, and eventually there's other people that are out there farming as well, and they see me knocking stuff down, and they're knocking stuff down next to me, and a lot of the times I'll just get a group invite just because we're in the same area. And I've recently got turned on to this area where the dues are. There's dues and elite dues, and that's how I've been making gold towards trying to purchase that 5,000 gold molten core weapon. Now, I have Barbarous Blade, which is actually pretty good up until, or Stone Shatter rather, which is pretty good up until I can get that Molten Core weapon. And the way this works is you don't have to actually run Molten Core to get the weapon, but you can. But if you're not grouping, then it's good to just farm using these quests and stuff because they're here, and get up the gold that you need for that. Blue Strider says, "Lol, hey cuz, what's up cuz? I like your hat." My hat? I don't... The Crown of Tyranny? Looks okay. It's pretty decent. I like the look of it, but I turned the helms off. Alright, so we're gonna go back to farming dues rather. And this is what I'm up to for the time being. Now, if I see somebody, I'm like constantly scanning chat in general and in group chat or world chat and trying to see if I can get an RFC group. So far, I've only been able to get into RFC groups with kind of the uninformed characters or players, like or very nice players. So I've only ever been able to get an RFC on the hunter maybe twice. And yesterday, whenever I was running RFC, it took me, I want to say 2 hours to actually get the group. And I had like 1 or 2 people that stayed the whole time while we were trying to get the party of 5. And it took us forever to get a tank. And then it took us even longer to get a healer. And by that time, the tank left. So we had to get another tank once we got the healer. And I was actually afraid the healer was going to leave during that. But yeah, it took 2 hours to get a group together as my hunter. And then once we finally did, it was kind of slow going. And I want to say it was before even the first boss, our tank DC'd, quote unquote, where he started running into a wall and it looked like the dude just went AFK. So we ended up kicking that tank, spamming for another one. And an arms warrior actually whispered me saying like, "Why do you need a tank for RFC?" And I told him, "Well, we got a healer and 3 DPS. A tank would be really like nice to get the dungeon done." He was telling me for the RFC on this server, I guess you don't need a tank. So he came in as arms, and he pretty much was our makeshift tank for the run. So next time I run RFC, I probably won't be spamming for a tank. And that's probably why it took me 2 hours to get the group together. People probably saw me spamming as a tank, and without saying anything to me, up until whenever the arms warrior saw, like, just didn't, you know, just let me spam, I guess. They just let me spam for a tank. Blue Strider says, "No, the one you're wearing on your stream." Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. The detective hat. Pete Vega. Hi, Elude. What's up, Pete Vega? Welcome to the stream, man. So today we're farming dues and elite dues in order to get gold for the molten core weapon. We need 5,000 and we're at 3,671. I actually made quite a bit of gold off of some rune cloth when I was going to farm for this Blood Axe Ward and Blackrock Spire. I got a lot of rune cloth. I got like, I want to say 6 stacks of rune cloth. and they only sold for like 13 gold a piece, but I still made quite a bit of gold off of that. I was surprised. Now, another way to make gold on this server is if you keep an eye out for the Corehound groups. There's Cursed Island and Corehound groups. A lot of the times these people want the best in slot characters that are wearing like full AQ40 gear. And I guess those make the most efficient groups. But I see them spamming for a while before they even actually fill those roles. Even faster way to make gold than that would be just donate to the server. I found out it's like, I think it's $1 a thousand. So depending on how many thousands of gold that you want, it's $1 per thousand. So if you see somebody also on that store, they have legendaries for sale. A legendary costs $25. So if you want to get a legendary, like they had the Hand of Ragnaros and the Thunder Fury. Both of those are $25 a piece. I saw that and I was like, damn, pay to win much? Let me tell you the do's and the elite do's. The do's and the elite do's. Not the do's and don'ts, just the do's and the elite do's. But yeah, I just wanted to give an update. I played a lot yesterday, and I'm going to be playing a lot today. And this is mostly what I'm going to be doing. Just farming the dues and watching for groups in the trade, or not the trade chat, but the world chat. It's interesting to me to see like how people are spamming and like what people are looking for. I see a lot of people looking for Crusader and a lot of people looking for the different raids. Obviously, like they want to run AQ40, Onyxia. Onyxia is a 5-man on this server. I ran it once. We were a fail group. We didn't actually get to kill the boss, but it's the type of group that I can get into on this guy. It's like I can only get into the groups where people don't ask questions. And oftentimes if you're in a group that was put together with no questions asked, it ends up being either undergeared or inexperienced people. Every once in a while you get the odd person out that actually has done it before, that tries to help the group, you know, kind of do the mechanics of the fight. Like with the Onyxia whelps, a problem we had whenever they first came out was just AoEing them down. I was trying to single target, so I didn't pull threat. So whatever the tank was attacking, I'd attack, and then I'd throw like the every once in a while, the every 10-second multi-shot, and that wasn't enough AoE. So then I tried peppering in the volleys, but my volley's a 1-minute cooldown. And it didn't take us very long to realize, like, we really need a warlock or a mage in order to take that that boss down. Just in order to deal with the whelps and then get back onto targeting the boss and shooting the boss while they're flying around. So, yeah, that ended up being a wipe, but a good learning experience, I guess. Pink Rose says, "Ree, what's up, Pink Rose? Welcome to the stream." I saw you said you were going to get on yesterday, but I don't know if you knew, like, my characters. They're all some variant of Elude and Stalwart, so if you ever don't see me on, try just searching Stalwart and then refresh through your /who. Yeah, it actually doesn't show for whatever reason. Maybe it doesn't work that way on here. But I'm usually Elude or Stalwart. I tried searching Pink Rose and Roseblade and whatever whenever I was on yesterday, but I didn't see you. But yeah, I was out here killing dudes. Eventually, I got to where I was killing dudes because I found out they make pretty good gold. But another good area that I'm usually at is the Karaji. There's a Karaji zone where you're fighting the AQ. I guess it's the trash from AQ, but they're out in a zone. I can't even tell you what zone it is. It's like Feralis or something. But you get ported there, so killing those yields 15, or after 15 kills you get 50 gold of the, I want to say the Eradicators, and then the other types you get 70 gold for 15 kills. But I actually think killing the dudes out here is even faster than that. because the regular dues go down really fast, but the elite dues are kind of like the equivalent of the Karaji. But for 15 of the elites, you get 100 gold, and for 15 of the quick kills, you get 30 gold. I want to say it's probably more efficient to farm the dues than it is anything else by yourself. But then if you're out there where the Karaji is, if you can get a 5-man group, you're knocking those things down quick, and you're getting a lot of these boxes. I haven't got any right now, but you get like kind of some boxes as a reward. And usually those boxes will either have the flasks in them, Flask of the Titans, Flask of Distilled Wisdom, or scrolls. And then you get these PvE tokens. Every 100 PvE tokens, which you loot off of every mob you kill, is 100 gold. So that even also adds to your gold income. Now, I don't get so anal retentive or as so far as to where I start like actually calculating my gold per hour or anything like that. Like, I'm not that deep into it, but I go for feel more than anything. If I feel like I'm being productive, then I'm happy. And out here killing the dues, an elite duel will allow me to get a couple rotations off, and I enjoy that. And the regular dues go down fast, so it's kind of nice to have the mix out here. I've kind of felt like this is the best area for me. And what's nice about it is the pace that I can keep out here really has been leveling up my wolf quite expeditiously. He's got 125 training points, and I need 185 plus 150, and then after that I'm going to go for the resistances. So yeah, it's been pretty productive so far running out here with the wolf and just eyeballing chat just to see the shenanigans that are taking place. People talking shit to each other and people looking for different groups and enchants. Pete Vega says, "Hey Pink," and Pink Rose says, "Hi Pete. Baby's on sleep on me, so I can't at the moment." Right on. I'll still be around, so I plan on doing this most of the day today, hopefully. I'll just be out here farming, trying to get that molten core weapon, because it's something I can work towards. And there is the gear as well. At some point I'm going to have to look up the best in slot gear for the hunter and try to slap on pieces of that at a time. I don't know if the progression, like, I'm not sure. I think once I get the weapon, my kill speed will increase, and then I'll be able to actually start putting on the gear items shortly after that. So my hope is, like, the multi-core weapon's kind of a little bit of low-hanging fruit in the sense that it's only 5,000 gold. But if I wanted the best of the best from, I want to say, the Naxxramas vendor, I think Kel'Thuzad, the last boss of Naxxramas, there's a vendor that sells the weapons that Kel'Thuzad would drop, and those are 25,000 gold or 20,000 gold. I don't think it's feasible to sit out here farming for that, at least not yet. Whenever I'm able to kill stuff a lot faster and not run out of mana after every pull, then maybe I could come out here and just like drone for 5 hours and get a good amount of gold. But I don't know if 25,000 gold is going to be very easy to make by yourself. I think at that point you'll get geared enough to where most of the prerequisites to get groups on this server seems like tier 3. So if you can get all your tier 3 gear set up, then you're quote unquote, I guess, geared. So whenever people are spamming for looking for geared DPS for either Cursed Island is the big one, I think, for the group farming. And then after that it's the Core Hounds. They usually want geared people for Core Hounds and the Cursed Island. So whenever I'm about tier 3, I think I'll be geared enough to where I won't be shunned by all the people on this server. But yeah, it's like you're a leper whenever you're in your pre-raid best in slot, your starter gear. People treat you as such. It's like, really? Like, come on. let's try. But I guess they've probably been burned way too many times. And that's kind of the rub. Like, I don't know if I said this on stream yesterday. I think I may have. I remember thinking it, but I don't know if I said anything about like the reason why in Burning Crusade you started seeing those heroic dungeons was just to eliminate that rub from the players, because you can spam for heroic, Hellfire Citadel, and you expect people to be, heroic geared to run that. And there was like kind of this fear from the people who hadn't done heroics yet to even try to do a heroic because it was a harder difficulty. So I think in a sense, like, and even in BFA, there's kind of that separation of class and the tiers of players, and in like looking for Mythic 14, whatever it is, Motherlode. I think that helps to eliminate some of the rub between the player base and the hostility and toxicity. Because I've gotten in groups and I've even asked to join groups so far on this server where people ask me if I'm like insane for trying to get into their party. And I'm like, well, no, I actually just I want to run what you're running. And they're like, one guy was telling me to stop whispering stop whispering him, and he put me on ignore. When I was just asking him, like, well, what's the prerequisite to get to do that, what you're doing there? He was like, STFU noob. I was like, damn, the elitist jerks are about. Blue Shire says, it's always been that way. It's like that in retail. The only thing that was more meaningful is no cross-faction that we have today. Well, the cross-faction here is also kind of weird. If I want to run RFC, for example, and I'm in a group with Horde players, as an Alliance Hunter, whenever I run out there, those Horde players can attack me before I enter the dungeon. Now, it wasn't so bad that I was getting like, spawn camped or anything like that, but they were trying to kill me before I even like joined the group or entered the dungeon. And it's happened before when we were like halfway through a run. Yesterday we had to replace our tank, so we all had to run out of the dungeon because you can't just right click your portrait and reset dungeon in WoW 112. So we all had to run out of the dungeon, and we all had to drop group and then re-invite each other. So once I dropped group, I was in a party of like 3 Horde and there was 2 of us Alliance, or 1 of us until we got the other tank. And as soon as I dropped group to re-invite, everybody went red, and I couldn't right-click and invite them. I had to actually manually type out the invites to get them back in the group. And as I'm typing, like, the Fury Warrior we had with us started attacking me. And then there was another one, I forget what his name was, or what class he was, but he started attacking me as well. And I'm sitting there getting my ass kicked and all panicking, trying to type really fast to invite him to group so they'll stop attacking me. And I had to run back inside of the dungeon in order to not get attacked, which sucked because we were trying to reset. So I was going back into the dungeon that was already like set up for the group we were just in. It was pretty stressful. I was like, damn. But it was kind of funny at the same time. But yeah, there's still even that rub here on this server between the different factions. For whatever reason, I thought the vanilla hunters had to learn every single rank of bite, for example. I started out by getting bite rank 1, then bite rank 2, and I eventually asked myself, can I just get bite rank 8 and teach that to everything? And turns out I could. I could just go to the highest rank available. But initially, I was running out to in the world, so like, the starting area of Darnassus, and then the starting area of the Horde in Juratar, and then I actually had to run out to Welling Caverns. And when I was going to Welling Caverns, I warped to Orgrimmar, and I thought I could just run through the city because it was a private server, and it looked like in the mall like we weren't hostile to each other, but when you go into their major city, the Horde are still very much hostile. All the guards were attacking me. I kept having to feign death and shadow meld, and pretty much like feign death, shadow meld, jump everywhere. Which actually brings up a good point. As a Night Elf Hunter, I could do that feign death there, but then I could shadow meld out of the feign death, wait for my cooldown to come back up, and then run like 10 yards, and then feign death and shadow meld, and kind of like hop to my destination in a hostile territory that way. And I was using that a lot in Blackrock Spire where I was able to, but I guess all that to say is I'm very interested in playing Alliance, actually, now that I think of it in vanilla, which surprised me because I've always been Horde and I've always identified as Horde, but I've played both factions. But I've always thought, like, you know, Orgrimmar is my home. So it was very kind of weird to run through Orgrimmar and being attacked by the guards. And actually looking at the classes and the races that can be those classes, like, I'm very much leaning towards Alliance. Because I was thinking, as a hunter, having the Feign Death Shadow Meld is kind of clutch. In a lot of ways, that's very useful. Like, the main reason why is my resource, like mana. I run out of mana a lot, all the time. But if I can feign death and then go to eating some food mid-combat, like, I can finish the fight a lot of the times in boss fights with more mana to pump more DPS. So, like, that kind of feels like a necessity for hunters. Being able to feign death and eat like that. And the only class that can, well, I guess any class could feign death and eat, but the Shadow Meld jumping for taming that pet yesterday, that was pretty valuable. I don't know, now I think I'm trying to convince myself, but another thing is the Dwarf Priest gets a Desperate Heal or something like that. I forget the name of it, but they are the only class in the game. I think the humans, yeah, the humans don't get that. They get something like an Escape or something. But the Dwarf Priests are really good priests. What was it with the warriors? Human warriors, I think, had mace and sword specializations, which gave them expertise, which I thought would be pretty good. Other than that, Orc warrior kind of seems like the way to go because of the axe specialization if you want to go fury. I don't know. And then at the same time, I can't remember my exact reasoning for wanting to go Alliance, but Paladins. Paladins was another thing. They have access to the Paladins. And I think it's in 112, it's where if you make one faction on a server, you can't have the other faction. So if I went back to Kulturas and I decided to make a Horde toon, all the rest of the toons I can make on that server are limited to Horde. I can't make an Alliance toon on that server. I think that's the way it's going to be. So you really do have to choose your side. I gotta kill more elites. Here we go. Blue Strider says, "Lol, that's mirrored without." Oh, I was so gonna roll a hunter. Then you reminded me about the pet ability ranks, like the shaman with the totem quest. Yeah, and that actually nicks druid off the list for me as well. I was honestly thinking about rolling a druid, and they truly are the jack of all trades but master of none. And like, even worse, they don't have a heal back then, so like there's no way to revive or resurrect outside of battle res. And you get the battle res, but warlocks kind of got that covered with their soul stone. And maybe sometimes in some very niche situations, the paladin's divine intervention. But really, like, aside from that, Boomkin run out of mana constantly, so they're always sucking mana, having to go melee. Melee Boomkin. The tanks, if I did roll a druid, I would definitely be a bear, because I ran with the bear on the hunter, actually, I think yesterday, and maybe I did have 2 successful runs yesterday, but for the amount of time invested, it wasn't worth it. But I ran with the druid, and the bear druid, he would get through, he would AoE tank everything. He had a shitload of hit points. I forget how much, but he had a lot. And as soon as everything would die, he would just sprint to the next pack, and he'd start pulling everything. It's so much nicer to have energy and rage as a resource than it is mana in vanilla. Like, night and day. Like, not having to stop and drink after every single pull is kind of a big deal. And I think that's a huge reason why people are looking for rogues and warriors in every group that's being created on this server. Because just their uptime, they can get right back into combat. And as long as you got a healer that knows what the hell they're doing, that's really good at casting lower ranked spells and managing their mana efficiency, like, it becomes unstoppable. The only thing that really fucks up a healer from what I've seen so far is whenever a DPS is pulling off of the tank. there are some good DPS. Like the mages are good. The hunters are even good. And then obviously warriors and rogues are really good. But again, like a good healer, if the DPS knows how to keep their dick in their pants and not like explode on every single mob that gets pulled, if they can actually manage their threat, then your group becomes that much more effective because your healer's healing more effectively and not wasting heals on someone who's inefficiently taking damage. And so much of that subtle nuance is like, it's what I've been craving. It's what I really miss from vanilla and what I'm looking forward to. Like, there are a lot of things that are bothering me since I've started on this Retro WoW server. Things that I know will be true in vanilla, but those do not outweigh how much like that subtle nuance that vanilla used to offer is gonna be like, you know, offering. Like I really think that all that subtle nuance, if you have a good group of people that you can find that you can run with, like in a good guild or something like that, like it's going to be so rewarding and so satisfying to actually run with a competent group that I think it'll be worth all the nonsense and the bullshit that you got to put up with. Because I remember, like, I used to have a good group of guys that I would run with back in the day, and like the game opens itself up to you when you can find a party like that. And I'm hoping for it. Like, I'm hoping for a few good guys. Like, I don't want toxic, like, you know, elitist type people that are like, oh, look at me pull off the tank because I'm doing so much damage. It's like, no, you're using heroic strike, which generates a high amount of threat. It even says in the tooltip. And you're constantly earth shocking, which generates a high amount of threat, which it says in the tooltip. And I think it's the warlocks have incinerate, which generates a high lot of threat. And like, you know, the warriors are casting heroic strike and Makima, and it's like no, that has nothing to do with your DPS. That has to do with you like using mechanics in a way that they weren't intended. Like, it's honestly that. It's like everybody has the ability to pull off the tank, and there are some few small situations where you want to do that. But like, not if the tank's not eating it. And especially not if the tank doesn't have rage to pull back the target. Because that's a big thing too. If the tank's not getting hit, they're not generating rage. So it becomes even harder for your healer to heal through that. And even harder for your tank to maintain aggro if they're not able to generate it in the first place. Pigro says, I'll do an ally rogue or warrior later. Ah, nice. Blue Strider says, I'm leaning towards lock and mage or lock mage, warrior, healer. Yeah, warlock I still gotta explore. Mage, I think I kind of got a pretty good idea of what the mage is. And I had to double check with the priest for that same reason, because I wasn't sure if I remembered it correctly. But the priest kind of satisfied my curiosity in just the first hour that I played it. But the mages are going to be good. Mages are going to be like crazy OP strong. And if you know how to control your threat as a mage, then it's going to be like that unstoppableness, like I was talking about earlier. Bears aren't bad for dungeons. They kind of lose out on raids though. Yeah, you pretty much have to resolve that you're going to be an off tank if you're going to be a bear in the end game at least. But it's really kind of refreshing to see a good bear running around. Like, there's something about a good bear tank that it's kind of nice. And it's like seeing a good paladin tank. Like, if you want the paladin experience on the horde when vanilla comes out in 112, it's not in the shaman. Like, maybe you think the ret pally is the enhanced shaman. Like, I'll give you that. Like, that's probably the closest you're going to get to a ret experience on vanilla. But if you're looking for the prot warrior experience, you're probably going to be looking at the druid for at least in 112 on the horde side. I do an ally rogue. Oh, right, I got that one. That's what it's going to come down to. But that's true even currently on Retail, but the odds are about the same. I missed that, my bad. I'm not sure what you were talking about there. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I'm a little worried about like the community though. I'm very concerned with I guess they describe it all the time in the forums as the EP strokers that just want to boost their damage on the meters and stuff like that. Like that's so much not a part of the game back then. And I'll admit, like I look at the damage meter too, and I find value in being able to understand like when I'm doing more damage and when I'm doing less damage. Like that's all I care about. Who's at the top, I could care less, but I want to know that I'm doing the maximum that I can do for my class and my play style. Like I don't care if it measures up more or less than anybody else, because so much of it is reliant on gear and the tier of gear that you have equipped and the situation. Like if there's a huge AoE situation going on and I'm like a mage and I'm losing to a single target rogue, then there's a problem. There's something going on. And I know that I probably need to rethink what my mage is doing for that rotation. And that informs me better how to play my class. But if, like, I'm at the top of the damage meter, but I'm pulling threat and the tank's not being able to, you know, taunt the target back because their taunt's on cooldown, like, that's also informative that, like, maybe I'm doing something wrong. It's not, like, that's not something that I should thank or reward myself for or brag about, you know, like, and I've seen that already a few times where people are they're kind of just like charging in and pulling without the tank because the tank's waiting on the healer's mana, and like that type of stuff's gonna get parties killed and it's gonna hurt people's feelings and ignore lists are gonna grow. For a healer, would you go Pally or Priest? Honestly, I'd probably go Paladin because I want to be able to switch specs to tank or DPS whenever I want. Like, because I'm probably not always going to want to heal. But that being said, the Priest is a lot stronger healer than the Paladin. And in some ways a lot more versatile as well, with mitigating like incoming damage and predictive healing and stuff like that with your Renew. And even their AoE heals are a lot... Well, the Paladin doesn't have AoE heals, so like the Priest is gonna win there as well if you want to do like raid healing. But and the Priest can also go Shadow form. Like I don't know if you care about PvP, but like those are pretty volatile in PvP. It's very nice and rewarding to go out melting faces for 10 seconds and then, you know, either dying or drinking and refreshing your mana so you can melt faces in 10 seconds again. Like, that can be pretty good. PvP Priest is nice. And they cannot be beat in a raid healing. Or even in a party. Like, you're going to feel comfortable healing on a Priest. But Paladin, you're rebuffing constantly. Like, them buffs are no joke. And every time you buff, you're running out of mana. The same's kind of true with the Priest, because every time you buff, you do run out of mana with your Priest as well. But the Priest can do their AoE buff that buffs everybody and then be done. And they only got to do that once every 30 minutes. And I thought it was an hour, but I think it is only 30 minutes for the big buff. But it buffs everybody. Other than that, Paladin gets the free mount. Maybe that's not something to turn your nose up at. Like, that's something else to keep in mind is your Pally can just do the Paladin's class quest and get their mount. Whereas the Priest is going to have to get the, 1,000 gold together for their 100% speed increase mount. And I forget how much the Rend mounts were, the 60% speed increase mounts. They were, I want to say 100 gold. I'm not sure though. But yeah, Priest will have to... It's going to be expensive too to be a good healer. I guess that's true for any class. Getting all your gems and enchants. Well, enchants and your consumables or whatever. So I think I would go Pally. Yeah, Paladin for sure. Just because the free mount and the versatility, being able to switch to tank, DPS, or heals. Because I would not be, like, I don't think I've ever been just exclusively a healer. But, I mean, for progression raids, I'll throw on my heal set if it kills the boss. P Vega says, you should use a macro for marking the target, cast sequence, reset. Oh, that's a good idea. I probably would if I didn't run out of mana after every pull. So far, my rotation is I have a rank 1 Hunter's Mark macro that I throw, and that's just for getting my pet moving. A lot of the times in battle, like from pull to pull, fight after fight, I'm just trying to direct my pet somewhere to where he can keep attacking, and I run out of mana very quickly, so I don't always want to throw Concussive Shot and Serpent Sting and all that stuff. I do throw Serpent Sting out quite often, because I would rather Serpent Sting and then auto attack than constantly Arcane Shot and do all that other stuff. But what I'm doing here with my rotation is basically like mainly trying to just keep in combat and kill as much as possible. So I won't be casting for the top DPS, you know, high damage priority for all my abilities. This is mainly just to keep myself from one pull to the next. And that's something else to consider as well. Like when you're in classic land trying to level, it's not necessarily the highest DPS that's going to level the quickest. A lot of the times it's the most efficient DPS that's leveling faster. And that means less downtime, less drinking in between pulls, and proper usage of like cooldowns and abilities. I'm just trying to kill quickly here. I'm not trying to kill fast, I guess. Like, I realize what I just said, and it sounds dumb, but I think you get the idea. Like, I'm trying to be efficient. I'm trying to kill quickly, not fast. What was that you said the other day, Blue Strider? Forehead? Forehead. Trying to kill quickly, not fast. Forehead. I don't know the names of the moves. I only know the sound they make when I run out of mana. Oh, the Do Elite's gonna kill my pet. Don't do it. Don't do it to me. Come on, MP5. Give me another heal. This is intense. I wasn't watching my pet's health. Come on, MP5. Come on, damn you. Oof, that was close. Ah, shite. He's gonna kill it. Don't you dare. Okay, here, I'll take that. This is how we'll do it. We'll take off his taunt and just use his DPS. I love the hunter's adaptability. A hunter can adapt to almost any situation in the game. Much like the warriors can adapt to any combat situation, the hunters are able to adapt to any situation, like no matter what it is. Oh no, tank died. Quick, put the taunt on the pet. Like, pet tank, you know? Like, oh shit, the pet's dying. Take taunt off and take aggro and kind of use your hit points to absorb some damage. Okay. Yeah, pet though, like, annoying classes to roll, definitely Druid, definitely Shaman, just because of their class quests to get their totems and their different forms. Priest, if you do roll a Priest, don't just train every spell, because there are very many spells you almost never use as your Priest, and there's only like a handful, like 5 different spells that you actually have to be viable in a dungeon. Like, Shackle Undead's not something you're going to need to pick up. Eventually, maybe in Scholomance and Stratholme, if you got a group that's trying to, like, progression run, you know, Scholomance, if you got, like, a super undergeared group and they're just your friends and you just, like, enjoy running with them, you can CC your way through those dungeons with that Shackle Undead, but that's a very, like, specific situation. Mind Control, like, I wouldn't waste money on buying that or the higher ranks unless you're PvPing and you're almost always the lumber mill flag guarding player. There are a lot of abilities like that. Like for the hunter, I don't think I'd ever pick up Eagle Eye or Eyes of the Beast. Like Aspect of the Wild. A lot of the traps I don't think I'd ever pick up. Explosive Trap I don't find myself using. Immolation Trap, I'd probably hold off on those and eventually get them, but all you really need with the hunter is freezing trap, maybe frost trap. But these other stings, you got Viper Sting that drains mana, Scorpion Sting that it reduces agility and string. I don't think I would even train those. I would just keep it Serpent Sting. And that's just if you're trying to save up for your mount and you're sucking gold. Man, I've killed a lot of dudes, but not a lot of elite dudes. There's more players out here than there were earlier. Usually I can just alternate between 2 elite dudes and just get that number up pretty quick. But with those other guys over there, I don't even want to be in that area. It's probably more beneficial to just kill the regular dudes until those guys take off. Blue Strider says, yeah, this should help stop spamming caps. Yeah, Nightbot doesn't like caps. Sorry about that. What were you saying, though? Another thing about the Hunter that I enjoy is, like, they fit anywhere in the game. They really do. Even if people don't want to bring them, like, if a person did and the Hunter knows what they're doing, a Hunter fits pretty well in almost any group. They do offer some pretty good utility in the sense that, like, I don't know how many tanks I've saved with Intimidation where they're almost dead because the healer ran out of mana towards the end of the encounter, and I was just able to Intimidate stun with my pet and just mitigate that small amount of damage that would have killed the tank, and gave the healer just enough time to MP5 up enough to get a heal off. Again, they have a distracting shot, which I don't find myself using, but I've saved my pet's life a few times with that, and that's kind of nice. They have some threat management abilities, like Feign Death is awesome because you can just pop your cooldowns and wail on something, or even AoE to your heart's content and just feign death off. And also Disengage is pretty handy for bosses if you find yourself high on threat. That's some of the best stuff that I love about the Hunters. Their ability, aside from every other class in the game, to just manage their threat. The Priests, if you are pulling heal aggro, they have Fade, which is like the only other threat dumping ability. Rogues do pretty good with their Feint and Vanish as well, but a rogue you won't see in a group, so I don't really count them. Now maybe there's a rogue in the group to pick locks or something, but we already saw how that goes, and I wasn't having fun with that. DPS? Let's see if we can get in this RFC group. LFM, RFC, DPS last spot. I think someone might have beat me to it. I didn't see it when it popped up right away. Oh, no, we did. Aha! Sweet! Woot. Thanks, on my way. Nice, we got lucky there. See, that's what I do. I just run out farm, and then just monitor the looking for group. And every once in a while, you can increase your gold making per hour by getting in a group. Quest Porter, RFC. Let's do this. And I gotta run straight in because I'm flagged. Let's get some quests. Oh no, they've already killed. This is often the case. If I do get a group, it's an incomplete run, so I don't get all the quests complete, unfortunately. Kind of ruins the incentive a little bit, but it still is more gold per hour than I would have made otherwise. Because even if we only kill all 4 bosses, then I'll get the 200 gold from that. And depending on where we're at, yeah, it looks like I'll get Elementals and Enforcers done, so that's 500 gold. That's more than the 30 gold at a time I was making to begin with, so I'm not mad. Alright, so this is a good reason why I have rank 1 bound to this. Now I'm going to take my pet taunt off because I'm a good hunter, and I'm even a really good hunter for having ammo. Cough cough, wink wink, cuz I know we said we would never speak of it. Look at that. I drew aggro accidentally. Feigned it off. No harm, no foul. I gotta reset this when I get a chance. I want to get an idea of what people are doing. I'm still cognizant of like the other party members in the group and looking at what they're doing. Like I want to see what kind of damage people are pushing and stuff like that. So I still keep an eye on it. It's probably more important for me to eat. It's okay. The other hunter knew too. The jig's up. The secret's out. Alright. Heading to the first boss. I'm worried they're going to pull that over there. Luckily they didn't. Kind of holding on DPS a little bit till he gets threat. He is a Fury Warrior, so that might have something to do with why he's not. Maybe I should put my taunt on here. I'll put my taunt on. Because we have party members that aren't tanks. So I'll just help my wolf tank. I'll just kind of like keep an eye on it and toggle it on and off depending on the situation. Pet's dying, taking his taunt off, gonna start healing him. Hopefully he don't die. Yeah, he died. Okay. Feign death, let's see if we can get a revive. Nope, out of mana. Alright. That's what I get for pet taunting. And the warriors and the rogues have no downtime. They're able to go straight back into combat. The healer's really good on mana too, surprisingly. We'll feed and heal the pet. And drink some water. We'll target what he's targeting and just send the pet in. It really doesn't matter if the pet dies because I got almost an infinite food source. That would kind of suck in vanilla land. Feeding your pet ends up being kind of costly because you got to keep on buying or farming that food in order to keep your pet happy. And if your pet's not happy, he's not doing 125% damage. Let's give our pet some armor. One downside to the hunters to keep in mind is their dead zone. They have like a 5-yard range dead zone where it's in between melee and in between ranged attacks. So if a really good player is assaulting you out in the PvP lands or something, they know to play with that dead range from the hunter to not take damage. Like a rogue will sprint up to you and just stay in that dead range if they can. So you can't melee or you can't range attack them. One of the drawbacks, something to be aware of. Same with the ammo, I imagine, on live. Yeah, agreed. I plan on doing engineering. I picked it up here, but I haven't went out to farm for anything yet. But engineers do pretty well at keeping their ammo up. And they can just go out and farm and craft it. Farming becomes a part of the game a lot more too. Like maybe World Quests is like farming a little bit, but I think you'll actually have situations in vanilla where you're like all you do the whole day that you log in on that day is focus on, you know, mining, herb gathering, working on your professions, farming dungeons for cloth or whatever your profession might be. So that becomes a part of the game again. And even if you're not like a hardcore raider, and that may not be like what your in game turns out to be, you can still support your guild and pretty much do anything you want in the game outside of raiding. If you decide to pick up the mantle of being the guild's profession, like maybe you're the guild's alchemist person, or you're the guild's blacksmith. Like they still have spots in guilds even outside of raiding. If your wife or your kids or your life outside of WoW is too demanding for you to be able to log in every, you know, Friday night, Saturday night for 4 or 5 hours. Maintaining the guild bank, and the guild bank too is going to be something that's different than we're used to as well, in a sense that you're going to have to go out and you'll have to create your own guild bank toons. So like the guild master will have an alt that has like a bank alt or whatever that you're going to have to mail all of your stuff to. And like whether it's mats or materials or enchants, I guess mats and materials will be the same thing. I'm trying to be aware of what's going on here. My pet's dying. He's gonna go down. Okay, I'll just let him die. Screw it. Or maybe I call him back. Let's call him back. We'll leave him on passive for a minute. As long as we're keeping DPS, we're okay. Once I get enough for a mend, I'll toss a mend to the pet. I don't know if this is going to happen. But yeah, you're going to have to be very trusting. Because you're going to be mailing your tank or your guild master all your money, all your gold and materials and stuff. Maybe he'll have a Google Docs spreadsheet where he's keeping track of the materials, but you gotta, reputation's going to be a thing in vanilla that we're going to have to be aware of. Come on, give me some mana. Well, we survived. the Fury Warrior got mad. He's like, I don't know why we don't have a tank. It's because you don't need a tank in RFC, apparently. I only just learned that yesterday. But yeah, there's not going to be any guild bank like we're used to. So, that's something to worry about. If you use Death Wish, the heals from the priest will be less. That's true. And Blood Fury Erasure. Yep. Fury. He just got wiped out. Poor guy. I don't feel bad. He has no problem getting into groups because he's a Fury Warrior. He said Roger Dodger. Dun, 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 dun. Not even a greater heal can bring you up if you do both at the same time. It's a problem. It's a problem. So, in this group, they're having to teach the warrior that whenever he pops certain cooldowns, the mobs will hit him harder, and his heals incoming will be less. And that's something he wasn't aware of. I imagine there's going to be quite a few things like that we're going to have to keep in mind whenever a classic comes out. I love this. I love it. I feel like I'm sneaking a peek under the skirt of WoW vanilla before it comes out here. I'm getting a chance to get exposed to some of the stuff that we're going to have to be aware of. Now, I don't expect all this to be like 100% representative or accurate of what we should expect, but this is kind of putting my mind in that mode at least. And it's also scratching that itch for the time being. Because I'd rather not really be playing any other game than WoW. And the current state of WoW BFA is like, I don't feel incentivized to do that. I feel like there's a good incentive here to play even the retro WoW version, just for the sake of science, for learning, and really getting an idea of like how many months it's going to take me to level a toon and whether or not it's going to be worth it. Because it's like the less efficient the class is at taking down mobs or questing or anything like that, it's kind of gonna, it's giving me an idea of what I should expect. I may at the last minute knee-jerk reaction change though. Like I've already switched my mind 3 different times on which class I was gonna pick whenever Classic came out since playing on this. I initially thought Rogue. For the longest I thought Rogue, for months actually. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a Rogue. And you can kind of see why. Like, having no downtime's kind of nice. But their group utility isn't there. Like, it's gonna be kind of like the Hunter if you're a Rogue. You're gonna be by yourself a lot, I think. And, it's much more efficient and faster even to be by yourself as a Hunter. And they got about the same utilities. Like, the Rogue has Sap, but I can Freezing Trap, which is about as good as Sap. And being able to feign death and trap again and distracting shot something into your... Like, you can kind of keep your CC going with the Hunter. What I don't like, the huge downside, is the mana reliance. I really don't like having to rely on mana as a Hunter. Not having a resource like the Rogues or the Warriors that recharges by itself. It's making me feel the opposite. There's no fun classes I want to play. I'm only going for nostalgia. Yeah, it may just come down to, like, roleplay, or it may just come down to something that you can stand to play. I don't know. I may just knee-jerk reaction pick something else, though. I'm just vetting it all out. This is the character I've spent the most time on so far, though. Where I haven't felt like I've really needed to try a different class or spec or anything to enjoy it. And I kind of got a progression, and I'm making leaps and bounds towards that goal as well. After this run, I only need like another 1,000 in order to buy the next weapon. This will be the first character I got the next tier's weapon for. But what I really like is not having to be grouped to not feel useless. Like, a priest, I imagine Barbie here feels useless outside of parties. But that being said, they're probably constantly in a party whenever they want to be, just because of like their utility, what they bring to the table to each party. But that's not always good. Like, there's a lot of toxicity out there, especially on this server. Like, I'm not sure if it's going to be true in vanilla. Like, hopefully the good outweighs the bad in vanilla. But at least for this server, there are a lot of people that are kind of toxic elitist, which is still nostalgic. Like, that aspect of the game, the tension of it all, is very reminiscent of vanilla. But I don't ever remember getting to that level of even understanding that. Like, a lot of the time someone was insulting me, I didn't even understand why or what was going on, or they just thought, oh, okay, well, screw you too, dickhead. Moving on with my day now. Like, I didn't really notice it back then. But I guess knowing more about the game and kind of like expecting more from like what I'm able to get out of the game right now, has kind of got me maybe a little bit spoiled. Because I never used to group. I don't think I ever used to group a whole lot in the vanilla days. Like, every once in a while I'd group up with somebody and maybe start a new zone and do a few quests. But it never really lasted very long, and we weren't grouped very often. Most of the time I was on my own, leveling up and stuff. I want somebody that's completely viable as a solo artist, though. The Hunter feels like the best thing, I think. Maybe the Rogue, but there's a lot of downtime with the Rogue. I don't enjoy the downtime. Having to, like, you know, re-stealth, like start to eat again and start to like, I don't know, 1 or 2 button rotations as well. It's like opener, you ambush, slice and dice, you get a couple sinister strikes off, and you eviscerate. And that, but that's actually like probably not true for subtlety or assassination. And those are 2 specs. Maybe that'll make the class for me. Maybe if I switch to assassination or subtlety, it'll be a lot better than that. But I thought combat would be what I would want. Combat daggers. I can't remember what made me choose that. I almost think I just rolled it and picked that, just kind of like randomly. But maybe there was a guide or something that said that that was like the top DPS. I'm not sure though. But it's not that fun. At least the hunter, I got all these moves I can play with. I can feign death, I can distract a shot, I can trap if like I get in the shit and I pull 2. Like if I pull 2 mobs, sometimes I can pull it off with the hunter. Actually, quite often I can pull it off. Maybe even 3 mobs. I still feel like I got a fighting chance. But with the rogue, if I pull 2 mobs, that's it. Like either I vanish so I can live, or I pretty much slowly die for the rest of the encounter. How many buttons are you using right now on your hunter though in a regular rotation? Pretty much Hunter's Mark, Serpent Sting, Arcane Shot, Feign Death if I pull. I got 2 big cooldowns, Rapid Fire and Bestial Wrath. I'm saving these for the boss. I got Intimidation, so I can stun if somebody's about to die that's getting attacked. If there's 2 or more mobs, I'll multi-shot, and if there's 3 mobs, I can volley. But I can also mend my pet. Like, I'm doing a lot with the hunter, actually. I didn't even realize it, but yeah, there's a lot more to do with the hunter. Alright, we're gonna go ham. Ham like a sandwich, popping coolies. But like, the hunter, I feel like it's kind of like the Ret Pally, the way I described it in BFA. It's like the gas pedal you can push. You can push the gas pedal and just go flat out, and it's not the most, you know, you're not going to get the most miles per gallon that way, but you still have the ability to just go flat out if you want. And that feels nice. I really like the feel of that. Like right now, I should have did it earlier, but I can intimidate this boss. He gets stunned for a few seconds, saving the little makeshift tank from some damage. If I would have been aware of it earlier, I could have got 2 of these off in this fight. I've done it before where I stunned him at the beginning and then had a second stun available when he got down to like 5 or 2%. Now he's in my dead zone. I gotta back up a little. But yeah, there's quite a bit you could do as a hunter. Like you can switch aspects too. If I do face pull, I can go aspect of the monkey, so I got a little bit more survivability. Like not really a whole lot, but it's at least some more than I would have had otherwise. Now I'm gonna chill here. Our Fury Warrior died. I'm saving my mana at this point, and I may want to heal, but Intimidate's coming back up. So our DPS wasn't what I thought it would be. So I'm gonna get another Intimidate off here. Now I can just go to Serpent Stinging for the rest of the encounter. Pet's down. Oh, the healer's keeping him up. Healer's on point. Raptor Strike. Ragaga melee. And hunters are okay at melee, believe it or not. Like, as good, if not better, than the Ret Pally. Because I get Raptor Strike and Mongoose Bite if they dodge. So, the hunters are just, they fit in any situation. Oh, damn, the healer tabbed out. That's why the warrior died. Blue Strider says, regular rotation. You can't compare regular rotation of the rogue to a non-regular rotation of the hunter. Well, it's situational, right? So depending on what I'm doing in like what's happening like in combat, then my rotation will change. Whereas like with the rogue, it feels like, okay, you could pop evasion, but other than that, your rotation doesn't change if you pull more mobs. And every 2 minutes, they do get Blade Flurry. But I don't know if you want to waste energy on that. So like with the rogue, it's literally like vanish and go back to doing just the same like ambush opener, slice and dice, sinister strike, and finisher, or or die. Or I mean, and again, like this is for the survival or Beastmaster Hunter versus the combat rogue. Like, who's to say marksman doesn't change the game, or even survival as far as hunters are concerned? And then again, for the rogues, like I'm not speaking towards subtlety or assassination. So this is just comparing, you know, apples to oranges with the hunter versus the combat rogue, or the Beastmaster Hunter versus the combat rogue. So it's not even like gonna be true for, and also the specs, like how you spec your character here and what you feel like is important is also going to make a difference in that as well. So there's a lot of grains of salt that you can take with what I'm saying here, but I'm just speaking from like what my experience has been so far. I thought it was going to get hairy there. I thought we pulled an extra ad. Pink Rose says logging in now. Right on. Blue Strider says situational isn't regular. Yeah, that's true. We're almost done with this dungeon. Yeah, we're almost done. We got like maybe 5 more pulls, and then I'll invite you whenever you get online. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do the Orc Horrors and the Trogs, but I'm gonna get at least that other 500 from what we have so far. I'll just keep this in my quest log for the next group, I guess. I really don't like when it gets offset like this. It makes me want to abandon and then pick it up again for a fresh run, but I feel like it might be worth it to keep it and then kill these, turn it in and get the reward at the beginning of the next run I get in, and then grab another group of quests. But if I do it that way, it's like I'm almost indefinitely offset. So I don't know if I want to keep that up or get a fresh quest log each run. I don't know. I guess it depends on if the group's going to farm more after. I'm going to save my 2 cooldowns for whenever the boss comes up. I think we got 1 more pull before the boss, but this next pull might actually be him. Pink Rose is going to do a rogue. Right on. Blue Strider says, true that. A lot of things you're doing BM isn't exactly as MM. Yeah, we do have a marksman hunter in the group. This boy starter 2. He's given us true shot order, but it's getting overwritten by the battle shout. No, scratch that. It's actually on top of the battle shout, so that's nice. But yeah, he's a MM hunter. This other guy here. No, pet, don't. Oh, almost broke the sap. Saved it. That felt good. I kind of wished I had a keybind for a second there, but it almost broke that sap. Lucky. Alright, let's do it. Damn Stalwart Wolf, what are you doing? Alright, I'm going to start kind of pulling my mana a little bit for the next pull. But yeah, you can see here, Boy Start 2, the other hunter, and my my Beastmaster hunter here, they're kind of comparable in DPS. And I'm playing still conservatively, trying to keep in mind for longevity, so it's not like we're balls out trying to like compare deeps or anything here. Now I'm going to get 1 stun off. I didn't save it. I was trying to save the Fury Warrior there. Barbie said, bro, that Fury Warrior, man, these warriors get froggy. So he ran in. He had Blood Fury. We're gonna revive our pet. I don't know what this is. Had some bullshit pop up on the screen there. The warrior tried to say he removed the buff. Even if you do remove the buff, you get that debuff regardless for the full count. But now he's saying he misclicked. Hunter pet tank easy. Working on it, man. He died. Let me see if I can... damn. They know what I'm trying to do. I tried to feign death and eat right quick, but it didn't work. Now I'm Ohm. Do I have Mana Pot? Mana Pot for the win, buddy. We're gonna stun him. Now we can open up a little bit. No, why would you do that? He's healing. No, don't do it. I guess we're getting mana. I don't know what the purpose of that was. Got some MP5. The healer just generated a fuck ton of aggro, though. Was it worth it? Oh, God. I don't understand. GG heals. Alright, we can stun him here. I'm gonna wait till he comes out of the kidney shot. Now stun. I wish I had misdirect. I'm really missing misdirect. What are you doing, Starter Wolf? Or Stalwart Wolf? Why? Why for you are kiting into melee range? This is a joke. Look at how much threat he pulled from mind controlling. That's crazy. Okay, so MC equals taunt. Yeah, big time. Oh, I gotta feed my pet. Victory! You bask in the glory of victory. Alright. We don't need a tank, we have a priest, right? Paper tank for the win. Paper tank FT dubs. Alright, hopping down. Call the pet. Let's get fooded up. We're almost done. Blue Strider says, I like that priest. Yeah, priest is pretty on point. Whenever they're paying attention and not tabbing out. That mind control, though, that was a lot of aggro. I was actually surprised. My pet was taunting the whole time. It didn't help he died. His happiness went down, so he wasn't doing as much damage. Okay, let's give him some prot, just in case. I probably shouldn't have buffed that. That's a 30-minute buff that's going to be wasted after this guy dies. Alright, here we go. Now, I'm just going to Serpent Sting until this boss gets pretty low. Let's get the stun off now. And I'm going to try to just try to get some min pet. Now, they're saying 300 gold for repair, rest is profit, PvP is faster. Why 300 gold for repair? Doesn't repair your items? So I guess PvP is more profitable than running dungeons. That might be why it's so hard to get a damn dungeon group together. I'll say when he gets about 30%, I'll start throwing arcane shots out. Fury Warrior's getting hurt. Alright, he's about there. We'll get another intimidation off. And I'll start pushing the pedal to the metal. Push it to the limit. Limit. Past the point of no return. Oh yeah. You're going down, buddy. Quick shots proc. Ragaga. Oof. Got him! Well done, well done. Cheer.
By the light of the moon.
By the light of the moon. I need a Searing Blade Enforcer. Let's get the pet in. Thankfully they do too, so we'll actually get this done, it looks like. This guy should go down pretty quickly. That's 500 gold, money in the bank. And if PvP's more, that's actually something else the hunters are pretty adept at. Some BGs. And a lot of the times, well, I'm not sure if it's true now, but it very, very much used to be the case that if you were a pet spec hunter, if you were a Beastmaster hunter, nobody saw that coming. Nobody ever saw that the pet was going to be doing more damage than the hunter themselves. If you killed a hunter, you killed the pet as well. So a lot of people just focus the hunter down. But a lot of the times, if you're a Beastmaster hunter, you could sneak in a whole shitload of damage under the radar that they weren't aware of and be pretty good. I still needed enforcers. A lot of enforcers, actually. Is there more? Well, I'll have at least that much done for the next group, it looks like. 7 tokens more. I think they're still pulling more. The warrior died. Let's come on, stun him before. Damn. Let's all get on the same target, please. My pet and that rogue are attacking a different one. Less damage coming in quicker if we take down the same guy. Little decisions like that matter too. They matter a lot more in Classic. Like who you choose to attack and how long you try to drag that encounter out. Alright, 2 more. Come on, 2 more. Can we get 2 more? Poor Fury Warrior. Pigro says, just have to upgrade my drives, then be on. Oh, okay, you're doing your drivers. Bluestar says, watching this makes nostalgia for my Demon Hunter? Demon Hunter on live. Too bad I subbed both Final Fantasy 14 and Soul Tour this month. Ah, okay. How does Demon Hunter though? This makes you want to play your Demon Hunter? Was just WoW? WoW in general makes you want to play WoW? Let's do these. Alright, so we'll do this one. We'll just stun right out the gate. Maybe we'll have another stun up before the encounter's over. Stalwart Wolf holding it down. I can't wait to get him enough training points to get his full stamina and full armor going. That's 15. Hunter Bus, let's go. Come on. What are y'all doing? Come on. What are you doing? Let's go. What? Why? The little gnome just suicided. No. Mourn. In quiet contemplation, you mourn the death of Celeste. He's not dying from the lava, actually. He's getting health back somehow. Maybe the lava's not hostile? That's interesting.
What can I do for you?
Thank you. Okay. There we go. Money in the bank. That was the Trogs, 300 gold. Right?
See you later.
Okay, there it goes. And then a quick way to get out of here, I can go to ZG, and then from ZG just port straight back to the mall. Mall? Mall. There we go. Alright, cool. I think with that, folks, we're going to wrap up today's episode of Elude Stalwart playing Retro WoW on the Beastmaster Hunter today. Very, very much in the top runnings for which class I might roll in vanilla. He's most likely going to be the one so far as I can tell. We're going to keep on working on him offline. I'll probably get in a group with Pink Rose after his drives are finished updating. And we'll keep cracking at it, but I gotta go bio and I gotta eat some breakfast. So until then, till next time.
Bye.
Bye. See you, cuz.